Welcome to Giants Nation. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, and we've got ourselves a little Commanders preview, and Jordan Raanan going to join us in a little bit.
And what about Breaking Big Blue?
This is Giants Nation this week.
Times Breaking Big Blue.
Kinda. You're the
So
host.
usually it's Breaking Big Blue times Giants Nation. This should be Giants Nation and then the Breaking Big Blue on the back.
This
Let's
is-
flip them around.
The host of Breaking Big Blue is joining Giants Nation, which I will say, it kind of has ruined your interview spots on Giants Nation show. So that's what we're doing coming off the bye week. I'm up in New Jersey.
We're live from East Rutherford.
Yeah.
Carlstadt, actually, I think it is.
Yeah, let's not get too detailed with the location, but first things first, before we get into some of this stuff, Grump and Danny will join for segments later. So landed in New Jersey, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be cold, and it's been about a year since I've experienced this type of cold, and I remembered like, yeah, it's actually I will say even when I was up last year for the Bucks game, it was probably like 45, 50 degrees, which is a major difference between like 25.
This is too cold
30.
for you?
It was like giving me a headache as soon as I walked out of the airport. So
Welcome to the Northeast, man.
and we're recording the recap in the.
I don't know if you know, but
Sunday.
the ocean is this way.
Yeah, the
This way.
river's that way.
Or that way?
So a couple things
Okay.
before we get into.
Yeah,
I want
let's
to
do it.
treat this like a a normal interview that we've done with you in the past. First things first, you were going to be doing a live event Monday at Shannon Rose in Clifton, New Jersey, correct? 7:00.
Yes, absolutely. What do you mean I am? We are.
It's Breaking Big Blue. I'll be a guest there.
It's Breaking Big Blue times Giants Nation show.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to collaborate here.
No, I am.
We're
I am the
collaborating,
guest
but you don't
for
want to collaborate.
Yeah, we're doing a live event on Monday, 7:00, Clifton.
Yeah.
Shannon Rose.
Come out. Yeah, we'll have books there. We'll talk to people. We'll chop it up. We'll watch the football with some Monday night game.
Steelers Dolphins. So we got a real good one on the slate for you. Did you hear anything on something you said earlier about maybe having a guest or no?
Not yet. Working
Not
on
yet.
it.
Okay.
Working
All
on
right,
it.
so
Might have a special guest come out there.
working on it. So make sure to come out and do that. We'll put the graphic on the screen for everybody to see. So I'm excited for that. That's the first time we've done anything with like that with Breaking Big Blue, something we talked about. So
Yeah,
If
right by the
it goes-
stadium, local, North Jersey. Come out anywhere in Jersey. We'll have it'll be a fun night.
goes well, we'll do a bunch of them going forward. How was your bye week?
It was great. So I mean, this is one that I probably shouldn't share, but I'm going to share. So I go to Charleston, celebrate the 20th anniversary. Great. I'm like, all right. We were talking about whether we should do the show on Monday, and I was like, let's do the show. And you said we have all these other things going on, and I was, you know what? Maybe I should think better of it. I'm getting old. I got to do the first career colonoscopy, which I know nobody wants to hear about.
Oh, that was your first one?
Yeah, you read that they changed it to 45, right? When I turned 45, it used to be 50. But anyway, so I don't know if anyone out there has done it. You take the stuff beforehand to prepare.
Yeah.
I would have never been able to do the show.
Yeah.
I would have been leaving the show every 30 seconds.
That would have been kind of funny to do that.
I know. I thought it would be great to actually have me chug the stuff
So
while we
people
were
do it in a box now. Is that what you did? Like did you do it in a box and ship it, or did you go to the doctor?
No, I went to the doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. I have heard about that, but
I may just ignore all that when I get older and just like if I get things, I get things, and we move on from them.
you want to prevent it, and wouldn't you want to prevent it if it's preventable to save your life?
No.
So that's why I figured, dude, I put it, don't get me wrong, I put it off for a year and a half. And then I was like,
Did you
I
get the
really
results
should
back?
do this. I think it's all good. I didn't get anything specific.
If it's negative, could we do it live on the show for clicks?
You want me to?
Just be like, oh, I have. You know what? I'm just gonna stop making cancer jokes.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
I want to talk about the future and stuff, but this story was very weird. Friday night, Doug Analytics tweets out that Brian Cox is no longer on the team website. I'm sure, everybody is racing. I was even, I'm not trying to break news, but I was like, hey, if I can break this before anybody, I'll do it. Brian Cox, the assistant defensive line coach, was fired. What the hell happened? Because, I mean, you guys asked Mike Kafka directly. Like, I heard something had to do with the plane. Dan Duggan said that there was an issue, or not said, he reported there was an issue on the team plane coming home from the Patriots game. That was Monday night. He was fired on Thursday.
Yeah, and then we all, it all came out on Friday that he was fired.
Yeah.
So
What
apparent
happened? What led to this? What the hell happened with all this?
Okay, apparently, yes, that Mike Kafka did not deny the issue with Brian Cox being upset about the plane, but my understanding was that was just the final straw. And if you think about it, that flight home is on Monday night into, Tuesday morning, right? They get home 2 in the morning on Tuesday. Like, it wasn't like this huge blow up where they fired him on the, we had to get rid of him right away. They didn't fire him till 2 days later at
Yeah.
that point. But I think they realized, look, it's better off we just move on. From everything I heard, Brian Cox, there was a little unease and unrest about making Charlie Bullen the defensive coordinator. That's something that's been around, like within the staff. Kafka said he hasn't heard it, but it's something that I've heard. And then you put on top of that, you hear things about Brian Cox being basically half checked out at this point. So if he's half checked out from the Giants' perspective, and then he's getting upset on the plane and making a big deal about the seating arrangement, it's probably best if we just move on and eliminate the distraction for now, right? And so I think that's how we kind of got to this point of Brian Cox being fired. What, in week 13? What is
Yeah.
he, the third coach to be fired so far? We got Brian Dable, Shane Bowen, and now Brian Cox.
I
What
mean,
a season!
how did it, like, obviously the playing thing? What was like the he didn't like the Charlie Bullen thing? How did that like manifest itself? Was it just little jabs here or there, or like how do you know how that manifested with Brian Cox?
Yeah, I just heard he made some comments. I don't know exactly to who. You haven't got, it's hard to really pin that down. I haven't gotten the full details on like what he said, but it was clear that he wasn't completely thrilled with the way that decision went down and the way that it played out. So, um, look, we could sit here and connect the dots. He's working under Dre Patterson. Dre Patterson's a guy who's been a defensive coordinator before. Maybe, and this is just me connecting the dots at this point on that one, that's the direction he wanted them to go. To be fair, Dre Patterson and Brian Cox are in charge of the 32nd ranked run defense, the 31st ranked overall defense overall. Look, I don't think there is a great choice of who you want to make the defensive coordinator in this situation. But if you have a guy who's half checked out, and by the way, I said that to one of the players. I heard he was kind of checked out, and he goes, "You think he's the only one here that's not half checked out?" Like, between the locker room coaches, like, this is what happens when you're at this point of a season. The coaches are fired. Like, this is what you kind of have to deal with, and that's the challenge for Mike Kafka. And we saw his speech. Get on board.
Yeah.
Get on board. If you're going to come, let's go. If you don't want to be here, get out. And I'm doing it without the expletives because we're going to try to keep this clean, right?
Yeah. We don't need 9 F-bombs in a minute.
Yeah.
So I know everything is like, oh, the Giants are dumb right now, right? Because there's a lot of things that are really bad. You've won 5 games in the last 2 years. Like, there's a lot of things that they've done terribly wrong. And I actually am on their side on this one. Like, you just mentioned Brian Cox, not happy with what's going on, might be checked out. He's complaining about stuff on the plane. I actually think that's smart. They didn't fire, like, I know there was like, oh, we're trying to get these coaches out of here because of the run defense. Brian Cox wasn't fired because of the 32nd ranked run defense. He's fired because
You don't fire the assistant. You would fire the guy who's the defensive line coach if you're really pissed off about the run defense.
right. But I'm on the Giants side of this. Like, all right, well, if this guy is acting like this, then you should fire him. The only critique could be that you didn't fire him 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I don't mind them naming Charlie Bullen the defensive coordinator either. Like, I don't know what led to that, if it is the Joe Shane connection, and maybe I'm not, connecting the dots enough on that side. But, I watched the film for the Patriots game, and I kind of like what Charlie Bullen did. He was very aggressive. Now,
It was aggressive.
the aggression led to some really big and bad plays too, right? We talk about soft zones at the end of half. They give up points at the end of the half because Charlie Bullen got aggressive and, they blitz and then the running back leaks out and he's not being covered. So, like, the players are an issue on the defense as well too. But like, I like what Charlie Bullen did. He seems like a fairly smart, he portrays as a fairly smart guy.
Yeah. He
Uh,
projects well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He does. He projects like he's smart and confident, and he said there's a rhythm that going against another offensive coordinator. He was talking about it. We're taping this on Thursday, but that is something you don't really get a feel of until you're in a game. So I do understand the side also that experience would be beneficial.
Yeah, so but again, like, they wanna make Charlie Bull in the D's. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think you need to go, "Oh, well, Marquand Manuel or Dre Patterson, they've actually called plays." Yeah,
But also,
but at what
how
cost?
much do they deserve that promotion?
That's what I'm
Their
saying, it's like
units are the worst. We can make the argument they're the 2 worst underperforming units on the team.
correct. Like, the only person that I would say, like, he deserves that would be, um, Jerome Henderson, if he was still here, because they interviewed him for the defensive coordinator job,
Right.
twice. I think they interviewed him for it in 2022 when, Patrick Graham, decided to go to the Raiders, so and then obviously in 2024, they interviewed him as well
Let
too.
me just say one last thing on the Brian Cox thing. This is pretty well known. Brian Cox is Brian Dable's guy.
And
So
he
he
runs hot.
what's that?
He runs hot. He was a
Yeah,
lunatic
but
in
I'm saying
Spain.
it's pretty well known. He's Brian Dable's guy. Like, they were close. Like, they were cigar smoking partners. Like, they have a good relationship. They have a past that goes back a long way. So clearly, when Brian Dable is let go, that probably doesn't sit that well with Brian Cox either.
Right,
Right. I'm again connecting dots and assuming, but it was well known that those two were fairly close and friendly.
right. So I guess, like, the only criticism of the Giants is, like, why not get those guys out when all of that happened, but I don't think they wanted to fire half the staff when they fired Brian Dable either. Um,
This was more out of necessity than need or
yeah.
want. I think that's how they viewed it, and then that's how we end up here during the bye week, which we said originally, like, they wanted to keep Shane Bowen. They couldn't justify it any longer, but at least see what happens until the bye week, and then if you want to do it, then it made more sense to make moves at that point.
So the reason you're on a preview podcast is because people
Okay.
don't actually care about the games anymore, right? So starting last year, we decided, like, you know what? Well, if there's something that we want to hit on for 35 minutes that there's new and relevant, we'll do it. If there's not, let's do an interview. Um, and it's to talk about the future of the team because they're going badly. Again, like I said, nobody wants to listen to us, preview what Marcus Mariota's doing well and struggling with right now. What do you have on the future of Joe Shane? It does seem like it's uncertain. Yeah, I think most people still he's viewed as safe and they want to keep him. And these four, like, what do you have on Joe Shane's future? Do these next 4 games play a big role in that? Like, what do you got on Joe Shane?
Yeah, I think I think they do matter. And I know people are like, how should that matter? How should it be part of the decision making process? Well, if you think, which I believe the Giants do, listen to their words, look at their actions, that hey, the talent is better than the results that have been produced, right?
Right.
That the results don't indicate what the talent level that they had has been. So that's basically saying we don't think they've gotten the proper coaching. That with the right coaching and the right pieces in place, this would be a better team. Well, this is an opportunity now to show if that's the case. They're playing teams that are more on their level now, right? You've got Washington, Minnesota, the Raiders, all who have losing records, and then the Cowboys, who knows what that game's going to be in Week 18.
They have the second worst defense in the NFL too.
But also, like, that game could mean nothing. It is possible. So those are ultimately have chances to be games where the Giants are more on an even playing field. Let's see if this team is better than their record indicates, like the Giants seem to think it is. So I think that matters. But let me say this: the more you talk to people, the more you realize I think Joe Shane is on shakier ground than originally believed. And I do not think that game in New England hurt a lot because you're talking about a national TV game, right? Where the Giants have to bench Joe Shane's top draft pick for the first quarter. We're talking about Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
For the second time in 3 weeks, by the way. They get embarrassed. They're a laughing stock. The whole kicking thing with Younghoe Koo, like, that was an embarrassing game for ownership as they sit there and watch that. I think that hurt Joe Shane's the likelihood of Joe Shane returning. Now, still think it's up in the air, but that was a hit to his future, I believe, because I don't think ownership was very happy about that.
I really think the Patriots game hurt because I remember talking with you on the phone after the Lions game. I was like, you know what? That might have been the best piece of evidence for Joe Shane was that Lions game. I think the Lions are not being coached greatly, like, schematically right now, but not gonna get into the weeds of that. But, like, the Lions are really talented, and they took them to overtime, almost won that game. And then they fired the defense coordinator, and it's like, man, hey, like, if there was one team if before the season you said, "Hey, the Giants are gonna go 9-8, they're gonna surprise." But what's your prediction of the Lions game? I'd say get blown out, and they play that game tough. So then the Patriots, who have played this weaker schedule, They've played tight games against bad teams. They're overachieving with coaching. I'm like, I actually thought the Giants were gonna go in there and at bare minimum compete with them,
So did
right?
I.
With Jackson Dart returning, what he did on that first primetime game, and maybe Jackson Dart has given me, like, a little more too much confidence in the Giants themselves.
Does it really matter for special teams play the way they did in that game? Like, you can't that I'm usually not a special teams guy, but the way their special teams played almost made it unwinnable.
Yeah, and so you get blown out, like you said, the Abdul Carter thing, prime time is a difference, right? It shapes the national view of you. That was that I think that game mattered a lot because as we've I know these last 4 games are being looked at. That was the last impressive win they could have had. Like, that's the
Oh,
last
yeah.
impressive win they had. One, Dallas should not week 18, you should not be going in there into that with any uncertainty of what you're doing with Joe Shane. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So you shouldn't be going with any uncertainty or letting that game sway you. But, the Cowboys will likely be eliminated at that point, maybe, maybe not. And they're a terrible defense, like you said. These next 3 games are terrible teams. So, like, winning those games shouldn't do much, but losing them, I think, can do damage. But that
But
Patriots
just
game
think,
was so
it can shape it only reinforces the narrative of like, hey, well, if we get better coaching, this team isn't as bad as the record indicates. Like, we could beat these bad teams where we're more like, we're more like a 500-ish type team, which we should be if we had better coaching. That's their argument, right? We have more talent than everybody seems to think. Well, at least some people. But and at the same time, we should win more games. So if you're able to beat the bad teams, to them it only reinforces what they're selling and what they're pitching.
yeah,
I know you don't want to hear that, and it shouldn't, because at the end of the day, they've won 5 games in 2 years.
yeah. That Patriots game was the last win they could have had that would have impressed anybody outside of anybody in that building. No, but even if they win 3 out of the next 4, I guess people will get excited about that type of stuff. But no, I don't think anyone's realistically gonna be overly impressed by that when you step back and look at it.
You know what the narrative is going to be if that happens?
Tell me.
It's going to be Eli end of rookie year 2004. Jackson Dart end of rookie year 2025, setting the stage for the next year and the years down the line of having full confidence in him and the team moving forward. That's what it's going
The
to be.
difference, though, is Jackson Dart has played well this year, right? Like, he has been perfect, but he has played well. So we're not talking about, like, where's the signs with this rookie? Right? And one of the worries of, like, letting a lame duck regime draft Jackson Dart was like, okay, what if he struggles and they fire these guys because they won 2, 3 games? Like, we all thought that scenario would happen. And then now they're doing a GM head coach search and they're just looking for whoever tickles their ear on, like, we can make this guy Jackson Dart work. But now Jackson Dart's put them in a situation where nobody is coming into this situation and saying, well, you know what? We actually want to use the pick to draft Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore. Right? Like, I know that possibly could happen, and you could look back 5 years of hindsight. Nobody is coming into saying that. There's just nobody that's coming in and saying that. They would be looked at sideways. They're not getting the job. So that's where I think it's a little different compared to the doomsday scenarios we looked at before the season. I think a lot of those doomsday scenarios of like 3 wins, 4 wins were with Jackson Dart playing bad,
Struggling, yeah.
where he would have been as
Well,
like
it's almost hard to come up with a scenario where your quarterback plays good and you're 2-11.
exactly. And
Think
again,
about that for a second.
I think a rookie should be afforded those struggles as a rookie, right? But I also don't want a GM getting brought in simply because he's a guy who says he believes in Jackson Dart the most and John Mara liking that. But now we're in this situation. I don't have any fear of that being an issue with a
We heard
potential next
John
GM.
Gruden recently. We played the whole thing on this show about how there's gonna be plenty of people that want to coach Jackson Dart. I mean, Mike McCarthy, we heard on McAfee too. Same thing. Like, like a lot of people would, and I spoke to, I don't know, 2 or 3 other coaches that I bumped into or spoken to in recent weeks. They're like, that's an interesting job with Jackson Dart. I mean, a lot of people that want that job.
And unless the Bills or the Ravens open up, I guess the Steelers opening up would help because they don't fire coaches, so you're giving a lot of security there. But unless the Bills or the Ravens, like, Dart gives you much of an edge over other potential people, looking for a job or other teams looking for um looking for a GM or a head coach.
The wrench in the whole Giants situation is who's going to be running the team in the future
That was my next
going
question.
forward. Where do you go? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty that's out there with that right now. John Mara, we know, is sick, dealing with cancer. Hope he, fights it, comes out all right. But there's definitely questions on that. Steve Tisch hasn't been a big voice in recent years. The last time he spoke publicly, I believe, was when Joe Judge was hired. So we're talking like 5 years ago at this point. Who takes over? Who's in charge of the day to day? How does that all play out? Do they keep the general manager? If they so that does complicate the situation. I'm not saying people won't want it. I still do think it's very desirable. People are going to want it. It's still the New York Giants. It has a lot of cachet. It's in the biggest media market. It's in this huge market, but there is a lot of uncertainty with the organization moving forward. There's no doubt.
Do you have any insight of how everything's going behind the scenes? I think that's something what everyone's been trying to find out, and then you get random rumors from accounts that you can't really believe. Like,
I mean, I'm not going to comment on anybody's health or anything, right? Like, that's not my spot to go and talk about that kind of stuff. You do hear different things, like who would take over. I think there is a little bit of uncertainty if it got to that point of who would take over. And there's a bunch of different names that are being thrown out there, right? Chris Mara is one. Susan McDonald, which is John's oldest sister, is another one out there. Maybe the Tishes step in. John Tisch, I've probably seen him around a little bit more this year. Maybe I know he's always kind of around than I have in the past. Steve Tisch has been there a lot. He's the one I've seen him go to the locker room after games, even up until I guess he was in New England. I saw him right around the locker room or going in the locker room. So, yeah, I mean, that does exist. I don't think anybody knows for sure. How that plays out. I'm not even sure. I think, though, if I remember correctly, you have to have a succession plan with the league. Like, that's
yeah.
something that needs to be filed. So I don't know exactly what that is. It would be, and I don't think anybody really knows exactly what that is, but it certainly creates another question or wrench in the whole equation for the Giants moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's again, even if they don't like, I understand there's a perception out it's not even perception. There is a thought process that they're not in this place to do a whole GM search. That's a much bigger overhaul, task than a head coach, which I think is ridiculous. Like, if you're not able to do that, then you need to put somebody else in charge, even if it's for 1 year, um, and make that decision and not let that stop you from making a decision. You're a billion, $10 million organization. Okay, you're not you're not a hot dog stand. Um, what was the point I was making? But again, like that has to be made. Like, a decision has to be. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Is
You're going to have to present the plan.
ownership's going to be part of the head coaching search.
Yeah,
Like,
when coaches come in there, they're going to be asking.
yes,
So so these are questions I think we'll probably have answers to when the coaching search starts.
yeah,
Right,
some
because
form
that has to. If you're a coach, why did Bill Belichick not take the Jets job? Because the Jets, I think the story is Leon had just passed away, and the team was being sold. It was either Woody Johnson or maybe it was no Woody Johnson or Dolan, and so he didn't know. It was uncertainty about who the owners were at the time. So ownership. These are questions that people who are going to become head coaches. That's pretty much the number one thing that head coaches ask. But no matter who it is, I think you do come with the belief that this is an organization that's generally going to be on the conservative side. They'll generally have the idea that they'll probably be patient. They're very loyal to a lot of the people there. I know they've gone through coaches over the past decade or so, but in general, the organization is known to be very loyal and very good to their employees. So I still think from that perspective, people will come away and feel fine with the place that the organization is in.
Yeah, but somebody from ownership is going to have to be a part of every single one of those head coaching interviews.
Well, Chris Mara's been a part of them in the past.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So
somebody's going to have to step up and
I would be stunned if Chris Mara is not sitting in on the ownership, on the head coaching interviews. And obviously, Tim McDonald's involved to some degree also. That's John's nephew, right? Chris's nephew as well.
Yeah.
Susan's son. Remember how everything played out with Brian Flores? Well, one of the people that was the guy that was communicating in text messages with Brian Flores was Tim McDonald.
Yeah.
So he's clearly involved in some way in the coaching candidates of whether it's even just talking to them on the side, whatever it is. So I do think he's going to have a role in some way, shape, or forward moving forward, and likely with this interview process as
Yeah,
well.
7 days after they told you guys that he has no, authority there. Um, how do you, how do you see these next 4 games playing out? Because, like, I put together, like, the rankings, it's like the next 3 teams they're playing are terrible. The Raiders being pro I think the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL. I would pick the Titans over them
You think
right
the
now.
Raiders, if Geno plays, are worse than the Commanders with Mariota?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah. Commanders have some talent. Mariota can move around.
Their defense is really bad.
Their
The
deep
Commanders.
it I again, I'm not sitting here I'm not making an argument of why the Commanders are good. I just think the Raiders are
I forget
worse.
who's 32nd, but I think
The
the
Raiders are
Commanders
32nd in scoring.
in defense, it goes 30th is the Commanders,
Here, I
31st is the Giants, and I forget
the
someone else.
Giants are 30th, the Cowboys are 31st, the Bengals are 32nd. So, Commanders are 24th on offense, 28th on defense. The Vikings, 26th on offense, 12th on defense. That's where I think the Vikings probably get that win, is the defensive side. Raiders dead last in offense, 24th on defense. The Cowboys are 3rd on offense, 31st in defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are defenses the Giants should have success against. I mean, aside from maybe Minnesota. Minnesota, we know Brian Flores does a really good job as a defensive coordinator there, blitzing and bringing pressure. But the Giants should be able to score some points down the stretch here. We'll see. They also, with the quarterbacks they play down the stretch. They don't get Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah.
Makes it, they're favored. By the way, last time they were favored?
The Panthers game in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which was over here. Last time they won back-to-back games?
I saw you tweet this morning because, we'll never ever win back-to-back games according to you. Was the Tommy DeVito 3-game win streak.
I was listening to radio this morning, and I heard people saying, I think they're going to go on a winning streak here. And I'm like, what makes you think that this team is going to go on a winning streak? Like, they haven't won consecutive games in over 2 calendar years.
What show was that?
I don't know. I don't remember. So, I honestly, I think 1 or 2 more wins is probably still, like, they could lose any of those games. We mentioned any of them. They still could lose any of them.
Yeah.
So I think, 1-3, 2-2 still.
Yeah, like you said, I think they can lose. Anytime you or have confidence in the Giants, like the Saints game. Hell, the last 2 games where I was pretty confident in a victory was the Saints, and it was the Panthers game last year. I was like, there's just no way. I understand how bad this team is. They're not losing to the Carolina Panthers. And
They were favored against the Saints, but then the line flipped before it closed.
Preseason, the Saints was the
only game they were going to be favored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of radio, we get a little bit off topic. What do you think of the WFAN lineup change? Carton coming back, Evan and Tiki moving the middays.
Yeah, it sucks for a lot of people there. I'm, that Evan and Tiki get bumped off, and I like Sean Marash too. But I'm an ESPN radio guy.
No, that's what I'm asking.
I'm actually hosting the morning show coming up a bunch. Like, I don't know, next few weeks.
That's what I was asking, because you've been on ESPN radio a bunch. Carton gets numbers no matter how much people complain about him, and I'm. You don't listen to Twitter, especially when it comes to radio. It's just a difference. So I understand that, but they've been kind of killing it. The Fan. I don't understand why they made all these major shakeups just to get Carton back when he's left you twice, once on purpose, once because he went to jail.
Yeah, it's just hard to, when you sit back from a distance and look at it and be like, good people deserve opportunities, but then when they come back and they take them from other people, you're like, is that really fair? Is that fair? But then again, is life really fair?
Yeah.
So you always get back to that. It's about producing results, and who
What did you?
So I'm certainly not a decision maker, an expert on that subject.
Last thing we could hit on.
Okay.
Abdul, last time we saw him was the Patriots game where he was suspended for the first quarter. Are we gonna get any more surprises for this game? Like what do you hear on Abdul?
Incredible is what Charlie Bullen said today about his reaction to, the incident. But it's hard to sit there and listen to that and fully digest it and be like, Sure, his reactions have been incredible. You had to bench him a second time.
Yeah.
How good was his reaction the first time if you had to bench him the second time? And a lot of the things you hear behind the scenes, it's just not great. Like, he just this is a constant thing, the missing meeting, being late. You hear from other players, like, this is a thing that's been going on. And look, I told you, I don't know when I told you for the first time, but I said the thing about Malik a while back, right? You know, like a player told
Yeah,
you
last
year, it was like, if they don't fix that, it's going to end up being a big problem. And what happened? It ultimately ended up being a big problem. The whole, what I said, the light training camp, all those things, you put it together. And I know there's people out there that poo-pooed it, you know, Carl Banks being
Yeah,
one.
you can say his name.
Schmarl Smanks, it rhymes with, being one of them. Like he poo-pooed the whole, what did I call it? The training camp?
Country
Country
club.
club type training camp. But the idea was that it was just the whole regime was based on this lack of accountability and this, favoritism, and it just wasn't holding guys accountable. And you hear from players left and right. When I talk to guys in the locker room, they tell me this all the time. Like a lot of guys, I said this here recently. These guys have told me, like, we need a coach who's going to hold us accountable. And because if you don't, eventually, especially when you start losing, those things just start compounding and become problematic. So Abdul Carter seems to be in that category. That he just got enabled to the point where he could just kind of do whatever he wanted this year.
Yeah.
And look, it's not something you didn't hear about him coming out of the draft. Like, you heard about this a little bit at Penn State. You heard about a little bit about him in high school in Philadelphia. Like, people reach out to me and tell me, this isn't really something new with him. Like, he kind of beats to his own drum, does his own thing. But if you produce and you're that good, people don't care, right? I mean, everyone laughs and chuckles because Lawrence Taylor and the stories about him sleeping in the room, because as long as you produce, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
But if you then don't produce and you have to be disciplined, and twice in 3 weeks is bad.
Yeah.
And that's a poor reflection to me on the front office. Like that's why I said I thought that past game really hurt them. So you just hope that Abdul Carter reacts in the right way. And I'm not listening to what anybody says at this point about that. Like, I have to see it to believe it. Like, you could tell me he's there at 7:30, great, blah, blah, blah. But you just had to do it for the second time, so it didn't sink in the first time. Until I see that he, A, is doing the right things, he's not getting himself suspended, right, or benched, I should say, for a third time, then I'll believe it.
And get the production. Just get sacks.
Yeah, and produce. Then it all becomes outside noise. By the way, am I wrong? I don't even think his sack should be a sack.
Sure, but here's the other point of that. He's had like 3 intentional groundings where he's got the quarterback wrapped up.
Sacks taken.
He had 2 sacks taken off the pass. So as much as I'm going to count and it wasn't.
I just thought that
it was pressuring consistently in that game.
I just thought we might look back like a couple days later and they take away that sack, because to me the quarterback was clearly a design run. The quarterback
it wasn't a design run, but
it
did look like he gained like a half a yard or so.
I thought it was a design run off. I didn't go back and look closely at it after that game. It's like, I'm not going back to watch this game play by play.
Yeah, I hear you. So yeah, Carter just needs to get sacks, right? Like the whole sacks aren't as important or whatever. Like pressure, I understand what that point is saying, and I probably said this 20 times in the last month now, but sacks are what you get paid on. Sacks are what end drives. Sacks are what everybody looks at. Yes, it's only if you're great 15 plays an entire season, but those 15 plays matter, and that's where the extra effort can show up, where you just like, all right, yeah, it's 1 play a game, but that's where extra effort watching film, and Charlie Boulin talked about this week, where he's like, Brian Burns picks up on little keys and stuff. It's not even always in our film study. It's extra stuff, and that can lead to a sack on a play.
And that's also saying that Abdul Carter doesn't do that stuff, right? That is his way of saying that also, which is a little bit alarming. Now he's a rookie. He's young. You hope it clicks in, but you don't know.
Yeah,
right.
That's where I think Carter can learn from this is the fact that, hey, you do get pressure, right? You have more pressure than anybody on the team, but you need to get sacks to be that guy in the NFL.
He hasn't been dominant. I don't care. I know he's created pressure. He hasn't been a dominant player, Bobby. He's been a good player at times.
Well, if he was dominant, he would get sacks.
But even dominant, there's not 5 plays a game where Abdul Carter is just, doing something. Brian Burns, even when he's not getting sacks, he's knocking down. How many passes has he knocked down this year?
I don't.
How many tackles for losses has he like? That's part of his resume. Abdul Carter's not having that. So yeah, I do think that like Brian Burns doesn't dominate every play. No one dominates every play. Think about how often offensive linemen win. They win on a good percentage, right? You don't need to win 50% of the time as an edge rusher to be a great player, right? You win 25% of the time, you're a great edge rusher, right?
Yeah.
So he has to realize he didn't just step in this league and be dominant. Like, yeah, he's fine. He's a good player. If he's this player his whole career, he'll be a disappointment, though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's where the sacks need to come. And I do. And his thing is, I do think they will. Like if
I would bet on him also. Like, if you told me I had to bet one way or the other, I would bet that.
like I think what he, not to get the whole Abdul Carter segment, but like you say, Abdul Carter's rookie season versus Kayvon's rookie season, I don't think it's even close. Like so I don't think we're heading towards that situation where
Kayvon had some dominant games, though.
he had one dominant game against the Commanders. That was
I think it was another one. I forget against who, but yeah. It was the Monday night was the one where he was dominant. We produced the sacks, touchdowns. Like, we haven't seen that game from Abdul Carter even now.
Yeah, he needs a game like that I feel like to kind of get that monkey off his back. Anything else before we kick this to our segments?
No, I was bringing up real quick his numbers and the tackles for loss.
Oh, could you give me the link for all those logins for those advanced numbers and shit?
Yeah. So tackles for loss. I mean, you know how many he has?
One.
Like one. That's not going to do it. I mean, Drew Phillips has 7. Tyler Nubin has 5. Kayvon has 5. Like 1 for Abdul Carter. Like that's just not going to do it. I mean, passes defended. How many does he have? 0.
He's
like
not a
no, but those are not when you knock down a pass. That counts. So Brian Burns has 7. Abdul Carter has 0. Like, these are other ways he can impact the game and be dominant where it's not just simply sacks. So that's kind of what I was talking about. You hope he realizes he can't just step on an NFL field. All these guys are so good and just be that good and not put in the requisite effort and work.
You got anything else? So we could talk about as Jackson Dart taking hits, but I feel like you guys got that covered pretty well on the beat.
Yeah, that's the only thing about that.
I was just joking.
I know the only thing that catches my attention is that today, Tim Kelly said he absolutely needs to get out of bounds, and Jackson Dart, when he gets to the podium, is kind of defiant about that.
Good.
So you wonder if he's really. What do you mean good?
I mean, treating that Patriots game like it's a symptom of a huge issue, I think is ridiculous. That play happens all the time. The Patriots, because of how Jackson Dart got hit, they said, hey, do not give him any grace. You watch every game. That quarterback runs out like that all the time. The defenders don't light him up. It wasn't like a Patrick Mahomes trying to cheat and get an extra yard. He was simply running out of bounds. He should have done it a yard earlier. But that was not, him being reckless. Like, he was sliding. He wasn't reckless in the Bears game. So I think he's gotten better at it. What you can't have is those frustration ones like he had against the 49ers. What you can't have is you're down by 3 scores and you're running QB power at the goal line. That's the type of stuff. So, yeah, he's probably.
What I have noticed is that
you can't take that away from him.
The ones we're looking at as questionable are all Jackson Dart when he gets to the open field of not making the decision at that point where, okay, I got enough. I don't need to try to outrace the linebacker or outrace the tracking back defensive lineman. That's how he got the concussion, right? The guy tracking back, it was a defense.
Then you just can't call design runs with him anymore then.
Like on that play, but I'm just talking about when you get to the open field, there's a point where, okay, I got my 15 yards. I need to just call it quits here because it's not necessary.
Sure, if the difference is between
a guy tracking back
18 yards.
Yeah.
But if the difference is 15 and 25, 30 yards, then. So, like, again, I think his last 2 games, he got injured and he got lit up. I think he's taken care of himself in those 2 games. And those are just plays that happen in a game of football if you're a quarterback who runs.
We could agree to disagree on that Patriots one. That's one where you clearly just get out of bounds early.
Hindsight, he could have got out of bounds a yard earlier.
But
But
you have to know you teams know you're not going to do that. So you're of course we're not going to let up on him. This is same with Lamar Jackson when he was younger. It was like, hey, Lamar's not going to go down. We're going to take every hit on this guy that we possibly can get on Lamar Jackson because he's giving us the opportunity. So yeah, it's a fine balance. I don't think it's anything long term that I'm concerned about. That he won't make adjustments, but listening to him talk at times, this was my point, is that he's sometimes defiant about it, and I just hope he isn't say like when Tim Kelly is telling him, "Hey, we need to avoid that hit," that he's just like, "Nah, I'm good."
here's what I don't want to happen, though, and it's not an apples to apples situation, but Daniel Jones had a pretty nice rookie season, but he fumbled at a crazy rate. It's like when it was just unbelievable, right? And it's not
So you don't want them to overcoach,
fumbles are not a
overcorrect.
fumbles are more of like a obviously there's ways to hold ball secure, but it's like just hold on to the ball, right? Like I don't think Daniel Jones needed major life changes to stop fumbling. I think one of the biggest things was having Nate Solder's left tackle that led to that. And the fumbles, and then he did struggle in that first portion with Jason Garrett because it was kind of like a mixing of like two different styles. And Garrett sat him down, and I remember Colin Cowherd said this, that Garrett sat him down and was like, "You're not gonna last in the NFL doing this." And he finally submitted to the way Jason Garrett called an offense, and it kinda took away some of the aggression that we saw early in his career or even at Duke,
I get that concern.
so I don't want to overcorrection is the issue, and I'm not worried about him, being injured every other week. He's gonna get injured again in his career. I understand that he's not gonna be Eli. If it happens 3 times or if 3 seasons in a row, then we're talking about something. But I don't want it to be overcorrected. So, all right, anything else? Shannon Rose Monday?
Monday, Shannon Rose, be there as many people as possible. If you want a book too, I'll bring a bunch of books to book some book signings. Oh yeah, did I ever get you a book?
Yeah, you got me I bought one and then you sent me one, so
It did. I wasn't sure the one came in the mail.
yeah, I gotta do a giveaway of the extra book that I have, so I'll do that
Okay.
on Patreon or something
Yeah,
later
let's do it.
tomorrow.
Hey, think about it. Cheap, easy gift you need to give to your dad or your friend for $28. You can have a gift. I'll sign it. You tell me. I'll make sure you get a book. And what's a perfect gift for the holidays?
There you go, perfect gift.
I'm a good salesman.
All right. Now let's take a break and bring on Grump and Danny King. All right, we now welcome on Grump as well, but we now welcome on Danny King for weather and trivia. Danny, myself and Grump are going to be at the game. We're going to be recording the post-game podcast at the stadium.
Oh God.
What's the weather looking like? We need to know.
Danny, I packed like 6 shirts and a jacket for this game. So tell me if I'm doing the right thing.
Are you planning on wearing all 6 at the game? Because they're gonna need.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You will need them. It is gonna be bone chilling, just bone chilling at MetLife on Sunday. It's gonna be 31 degrees. Gross. It's gonna be like get down into the mid-20s by the time the game's done. It's MetLife, so you gotta account for wind, but it's not supposed to. The winds aren't supposed to be whipping, but that tunnel there, you could just get winds whipping all day. So prepare for winds. I'm gonna say it's gonna be like below 10. Well, we'll say 7. That's what the models are saying right here. You can't see my models. I got to bring back my weather map. I keep forgetting to do that every once in a while. But it's gonna be cold. There's a chance that no, I take that back. The rain is gonna pass before the game. You won't have to worry about it during the game. Won't have to worry about it after the game. Should be all good with the precipitation, snow, rain, whatever it's gonna be.
No snow?
No, it's not a snow game. You're not gonna get a snow game. I mean, maybe you get one of those weird snow showers, and everyone's like, "Oh, snow!"
Is it going to
Well, that
screw
is snow.
tailgating though?
Oh, tailgate will it's a tailgate will be fine. I mean, you're not getting to the parking lot at 6 a.m., which is what. Like 8, 9. There still could when the last of it could be passing or will be passing, but like kickoff's fine. Majority of the tailgate should be fine. 10 a.m. on. You'll be chilling.
Okay, so I feel like I have no idea what the weather is like. What's the temperature?
It's
and,
cold.
And what's the conditions?
You gotta listen. High 30, 30 to start, drop to the low 20s. It'll get colder as the night goes on, so dress warm. Dress as warm as you can. Don't worry about if you get to the parking lot around 8, 9. Gonna be probably the last of the storm passing through. Whatever storm's gonna be passing. Other than that, you're chilling.
Wow.
Is that a no snow guarantee?
For the actual game, I will say no snow guarantee.
Okay. All right. Um, you were at the Patriots game. How did that go?
It was probably one of the worst games I've ever been to live. It was cold. I had this one annoying Boston fan start chirping me as I got up to go get another beer. He then said, "Oh, you're leaving already?" I was like, "No, I'll be back in 5 minutes, buddy. I'll just grab another beer." And then I turned my back and walked down the stairs. He apparently started calling me a piece of shit, but he couldn't do it to my face, like a loser he is. Fun story,
Fans are nuts.
bro. There's one.
We could say it to your face, you're like 5'5".
Yeah, bro. Yeah, well, hang on, 5'10". Let's put respect on my name. No, but yeah, I was like, dude, say to my face, my team's getting smacked right now. And so that I was waiting for I was getting warm, and like right before the end of the halftime, the elevators open and they were forming like a security line. I was like, oh, this is probably like a celebrity. I was like, who's it gonna be? And all of a sudden, the elevator doors open, and I just see a bunch of dudes in blue sweatshirts that I knew right away. I was looking at a bunch of Giants personnel people. At least coach, I couldn't identify any of them. Probably the ones just chilling in the box. So as they walked by, I started shouting. I was like, 4 more games. I was like, 4 more games, and then you're fucking done. And then yeah, so I just kept saying that repeatedly. Everyone was like, yeah, fuck the Giants. I was like, yeah, I'm a Giants fan, and I hate all those guys.
Unless it was Brian Cox, then that was your last game as the Giants assistant defensive line coach.
Sources say that was the last straw.
The last straw. Yeah, Danny was Danny. Were you in the back or the front of the plane?
That's a good.
So, full disclosure for the listeners, which I think you'll be able to figure this one out pretty quickly because you're going to see me in New Jersey with Jordan before you see me back at home doing segments with these. But we're doing this part of the show before the first part, so we're going to talk about that. But I don't like what is my opinion? Like, what is your opinion on this whole thing? I think it's basically just like Brian Cox hated the moves made and was probably just like, jab, jab, jab and getting pissed off. And then they're probably finally like, you know what? Just fire him if he's going to be like this. Right? It's kind of as simple as that, right, Crump?
That's pretty much what I thought, right? Like this is that story, the like straw that broke the camel's back or whatever, I think is probably getting more traction and is being talked about more than it really was a factor. Like, I think it was just finally like he probably did or said something because of that event that was just like, you know what, man, you're not good in the building right now. Like, we have 4 more weeks of this. By the time, if you ever get this turned around and change your attitude or whatever, season's going to be over and you're going to be fired anyway. So let's just get him out of here. But I think it probably, like you said, like a buildup of things that were being said and done around the building since Dable was fired or since Bowen was fired, one or the other.
Yeah. What do we got for trivia this week, Danny?
We've done. I feel like we've done Commanders trivia so often. So
Feels like twice a year.
yeah, twice a year. I'm gonna keep it simple this week. I'm gonna throw it back to 2019. Next game, I'm gonna try and find something new and fun to do for trivia because I feel like with these divisional games, we're running out of options here. But we're gonna throw it back to 2019. The Giants defeated the Commanders 24-3. I know this might be a little unfair because Bobby loves 2019 Giants football like there's no tomorrow. But I found Daniel Jones 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. However, Dwayne Haskins RIP 3 interceptions in this game. 2 of them were caught by one defender. There's a very fun defender that I want to talk of it was a fun defender that I loved from the 2019 New York Football Giants. Can you guess them? The one guy you should probably get. The other guy I would understand if it's not.
Grump, I know these for a fact. It is 2019 trivia, so I'll let you go ahead and guess. So who caught there's 3 interceptions from Dwayne Haskins in that game. Who caught them?
20. Yeah, I was going to say you're probably in an unfair advantage for this one being 2019 and knowing Danny better. All I can think of is I remember Jabril Peppers had a pick 6 in this game.
Correct.
That's the only one I remember.
Janoris Jenkins had 2 interceptions in this game too.
Damn.
I'm actually trying to remember though, because Wayne Gallman had a receiving and a rushing touchdown. I'm trying to think what. Oh yeah, Jabril Peppers pick 6. I was like, what was the 3rd touchdown?
Hang on. There's one more New York Giant. One more New York Giant this game caught an interception. I messed this away.
Are you saying that he's a giant? He was a Giant at some point, or he was a
He
Giant
was a
in this game?
Giant. He was a Giant. He was a Giant in 2019. Janoris and Jabril are correct. There's one more.
Daniel Jones threw an interception in this game.
There was one more guy, and it was thrown by It was Case Keenum. I forgot Case Keenum's part of this. I forgot to include his name in the question. Case Keenum for an interception as well. So Janoris and Jabril are correct. There's one more giant.
Oh, I know the other one too.
I have no idea.
It's Ryan Connolly, right?
Yeah, it's Ryan Connolly. It's Ryan.
Yeah, I remember like the Ryan Connolly thing. It was like, yeah, he's on pace for a 15 interception season.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions this year, 18 yards, only played in 4 games because he ended up on injured reserve after this game, actually.
Yeah. So we will never forget you, Ryan Connolly. So good stuff. Anytime you hit the 2019 well, it's like, yeah, Bobby has an unfair advantage, but it's fun to go back.
Yeah, but you didn't remember Connolly off the top of your head, so.
Well, because
He said Dwayne Haskins, 3 interceptions.
the way I had my stats, when I looked at it at work, because like we said, full transparency, I was not prepared for today because I was dealing with a certain coach getting arrested. I saw it was Janoris and Ryan Connolly. I was like, oh, I love Ryan Connolly. This is the question.
All right, let's get into fantasy. Danny scored 28 points last week. Grump had 31. I had 41. But Danny still has the lead. I am 61 points back. So 4 games left. That's 15 points every week. It's doable. Grump is 113 points back. His season is essentially over. Danny is on pace to break the scoring record by 4 points. And in fact, if Danny doesn't break the scoring record, that means he lost the league. It'd have to be a terrible last 4 weeks for him. So, Grump, this is a tough one, man. This is 2 bad offenses, teams with injuries to players. Like, Grump, who do you got with this first overall pick here?
Yeah, this one's tough. We have Marcus Mariota playing for Washington this game, which could alter things. But Washington's played decently with Marcus Mariota. It's hard. I want to say Terry McLaurin because it seems like the gimme, but I just think that Deebo Samuel is probably going to probably nothing. I'm just going to bank on Deebo Samuel in the jet sweep game and just getting Yak and more targets in this game. So I'm going to go Deebo Samuel first.
Yeah, also, Terry mentions the Flott go against Terry, or maybe they put Paulson or Deebo on him. But Deebo's got that slot matchup, and they're going to give him some touches. So I agree. I think Mariota being in helps Deebo a bit too. I am going to go Terry McLaurin with the second pick. Just simply best player in the game. He's still producing fairly decently for the Commanders. And Zach Ertz, who has been getting some passes. He got injured. By the way, I looked up the account because the account, did Zach Ertz break a tackle? It's like a famous Philly account, right? And it's always no. And I went to go see if it tweeted, and I couldn't find the account. I'm going Terry McLaurin with my second pick. Danny, you have back-to-back picks.
Danny's got no microphone.
He's muted.
Right,
Danny's still okay.
My first pick is Deebo Samuel. It's Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson. Let's take him off the board here. Now the part of me does want to go Chris Rodriguez, but I'm not. I'm gonna. I just need to take a swing here, and I'm gonna take Tyrone Tracy. I'm doing Tyrone. I know it's a risk. I last week 4 points, or 2 weeks ago 4 points, but there's a 17 and a 16 in there. I just gotta hope that maybe he can find the end zone this week. Risky pick, but I gotta play risky right now. I want a running back at least, bare minimum.
Not that my big board's anything to listen to, but 8th.
I had him 6.
So we got 20th over there, and then 8th.
Yeah, I had him 8th on my big board too. So I'm going to get number 1 and number 3 on my big board. I'm going to go Chris Rodriguez, who I will say this. If you guys have listened to this show or the previous show, always been a Chris Rodriguez guy. I've even said he's better than Brian Robinson Jr. So Chris Rodriguez. We talked about him. I mean, we covered him at the Senior Bowl, Grump.
Mm-hmm.
We actually talked a lot about him on our draft stream that year because of his Dewey. So Chris Rodriguez is my second pick. Grump, you have back-to-back picks.
I'm gonna go with Theo Johnson here. Think that, he's been a high target guy at this point. Just kind of the best guy on my big board. And Giants are hurt all over the defensive line. I know Dexter Lawrence is back, but I think DJ Davidson hasn't practiced. Victor Dimukeji, apparently Kayvon Thibodeau's shoulder is missing. He's been gone for forever. I'm gonna go Krosky Merritt. I think the running game, especially with Marcus Mariota being in the game, they can just lean into the run for this game, and they probably will, and it'll go well.
Yeah, the RB2, is a interesting play. Oh, by the way, Grump, I'm apply for credentials for the Hula Bowl.
Oh, okay.
It's in Orlando, so I could just go. Jacory Krosky Merritt is from that. A lot of the Giants UDFAs are from the Hula Bowl. Darius Moethau was also one. Donald Fortune, Miles. Like, there's a lot of the Giants UDFAs from this year were in the Hula Bowl last year. So I applied for credentials. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna go Darius Slayton, man.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Like, Commanders' defense has been really bad. They play a lot of man coverage. This could be a Slayton game. Could be a Wandale game too, right? Like, I think one of those two is going to have a big game in this one. But they get Darius Slayton here in the third. And in a week where I kind of hate the board, I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I've got first, third, and fifth on my big board. So I'm going Darius Slayton with my third pick. Danny, your final two picks.
Yeah, I was stuck between Tyrone and Darius, but I haven't taken this guy yet in fantasy since he's returned, so I'm going to take him right here. I'm going to take a little Isaiah Hodgins action because why not?
You're banking on a Giants win here. You got three Giants. We're going with four.
I feel like this is I genuinely think they're probably going to win this game. And then from there, I think I might just have an all Giants team when I just do my quick glance at, yeah, you know what? I'm going to make y'all sick with this next pick. I'm going to take the man that's projected to put up 10.8 points this week.
Eric Gray.
Give me Devin Singletary.
I wanted Devin Singletary so badly. Like, he might be the Giants RB1. I know Tyrone Trace is a full participant in practice, but I really wanted Singletary. One of his best games for the Giants was against the Commanders, so.
19 points last week. 2 weeks ago, sorry.
So Zach Ertz is injured. I'm going to go John Bates, the Senior Bowl tight end out of BYU. He's there my first year covering the Senior Bowl, so always a little impartial to those guys. But hey, maybe he steps up. So I'm very happy with my draft. So I'm going to go John Bates. Grump, you got the final pick.
I have no idea. At this point, I'm
Senior Bowl guy Jalen Lane available. We interviewed him. Remember whenever we interviewed him? Remember how small he was?
I don't.
Very small guy.
I'm stuck between. You know what? I'm gonna do this just to make Bobby angry, and I'm picking Gunnar Olszewski.
There we go.
I'm going Daniel Bellinger. I'm going Daniel Bellinger. They have equal amount to score points in this game. It's a matter of whether or not they get in the goddamn game. So,
if you want to waste your pick with the final pick of the draft, no problem. But if you're wasting picks and allowing Danny to get better players as I try and catch him, that's where I might hunt you down.
I mean, I'm left with nothing here.
No, you're not. I mean, again, I would take either Jalen Lane or Treylon Burks. It'd be funny just to take Treylon Burks just because, he's on the Commanders.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So, So to recap, Danny in first place, Wandale Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Isaiah Hodgins, and Devin Singletary. Myself, 61 points back. Terry McLaurin, Chris Rodriguez, Darius Slayton, and John Bates. Grump, 113 points back. Debo Samuel, Theo Johnson, Jacory Krosky Merritt, and Daniel Bellinger. It's time for Giant Factors. Grump, you've got the first Giant Factor this week.
I know that we have been going back and forth in sort of a meme fashion over this guy, but I think it's about time that Darius Slayton remind us why he got a contract. You are going up. I know it's a Dan Quinn defense, but Jackson Dart has been pretty good against the blitz this whole year. He hasn't gone against Dan Quinn yet. That puts Darius Slayton into various one-on-one situations, and the Commanders are banged up in the secondary. So this should be a chance for him to show up and make some catches. I would have liked to take him in fantasy because I think there is a chance for him to break out in this game, and I think that he should break out in this game. Darius Slayton, go be a giant factor.
Go be a giant factor. Um, you know who I'm going to make my. I hope that I'm stealing this guy from Danny because it's a week. This is week 14, right? Yeah, week 14 giant factor. And I am taking the newbie. Bill Burr looking ass, Cameron Johnston, the punter that we just signed over from, I don't even know. He was formerly on the Bills. He's been on a bunch of teams. That Jamie Gillen dealing with a knee inflammation or a knee injury. Cameron Johnston, right? Special teams. Don't make them special this week. Make them average, normal, fit in society teams. Okay, so Cameron Johnston, you're a punter. It's going to be cold. You look like Bill Burr, and it's funny, and it always reminds me of Bill Burr's Philly rant. Cameron Johnston, be a giant factor. Danny, who is your week 14 giant factor?
He was in the back of my mind. I won't lie. Because Jamie Gillen, R.I.P. Jamie Gillen. It's sad.
He's got eye inflammation.
Yeah, I know. Good Lord. It's sad because I just not sure who really I care about on this football team anymore. But so with that said, I'm just gonna go with a young guy that I don't know. Maybe he's on the team next year. Maybe he's playing for a roster spot next year. I don't fully know. Drew Phillips, just go out there and just. I want to have some reason to have belief in this young secretary. I was going to say Tyler Newman, but I think I already used him this year, and he's done nothing to move the needle this year. Obviously, Paul Sidibe will be here next year. Obviously, Javon Holland will be here next year. Drew Phillips, you're still young. You got a lot of room to develop. I want to believe in you. You sometimes make good plays. You sometimes make plays that make us all scratch our head. Maybe an interception. I don't know. That's probably too much to ask for. Just make tackles, good form tackles. Let's don't be the reason we lose this game. Don't let guys get behind you. Don't get beat on routes. Let's just keep this simple, Drew Phillips. I want to root for you because you're a draft pick. And guess what? That's all we can root for, even though the guy currently in charge sucks at doing that majority of the time. So, Drew Phillips, you're my giant factor.
All right, time for spread picks. Danny, we didn't have a show to do them. So the last 2 weeks, myself and Danny have went 11-5. Danny is 56-57. So Thursday Night Football is big for you. You could break back to 500 for the Sunday graphic. I am 54-49. Grump is in third. He went 4-12 these last 2 weeks. He's 48-65, and the listeners went 9-7. They are 47-66. So they basically have no chance of 500. I am trying to get the 500. Right? I've only twice. 1 year was just under it by one game. So I want to keep my winning record above 50%. So Thursday Night Football. This feels like true Thursday Night Football, NFL Network Thursday Night Football. We got Falcons at Bucks -4.5. The listeners represented by Joe LaGrippo are going Bucks -4.5. And me too. Raheem Morris is dead in Atlanta. They kind of have nothing redeeming that they can live on right now. They're injured. They're banged up. Bucks are banged up and haven't been that good lately either, but they need this win desperately. So I'm going Bucks -4.5. Grump.
I am also going Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's they had a commanding start to the season. Now this is where they have to put the money where the mouth is.
Daniel.
I am also going the Bucks. Mike Evans is back this week if I'm reading this correctly. So I think they'll start to turn their fortunes around now.
Not good. Whenever we all agree on Thursday Night Football, it never goes well. Bills at Patriots -1.5. Danny, what do you have for this one? You were just there scouting the Patriots in person. Let us know.
I was. I still don't buy the Patriots hype. They can beat up on the good teams. That's great. I think the Bills will get their revenge this week and that they will circle the wagons. I just like the Bills this week. I feel like they're turning a little bit of a corner.
But the Bills I think the Bills are a bad team. Like, yeah, they beat the Bengals in a shootout, but the Bengals are a bad team as well too. Um, I think the Patriots are just simply the better team, and I think this means a lot to them to not just split the games with the Bills, but to actually win this game and really just take the division. So I'm gonna go Patriots -1.5. What about you, Grump?
I got the Patriots. I know the Bills won last week, but it took a total Joe Burrow meltdown to win that game. They've kind of been like sketchy this whole year. I'm not. Yeah, I'm with you.
Listeners are going Bills. Ravens at Bengals +2.5. This game obviously means quite a bit. I think if the Steelers are gonna not win the division, uh, I'm gonna go Bengals +2.5. The offense is still really good with Joe Burrow. The Ravens are a mess. They just lost to them on Thanksgiving. I think they lose to them again. So I'm going Bengals. Listeners agree. Grump.
I'm going Bengals. What I saw last week was encouraging.
Danny.
Yeah, the Ravens are dead in the water. I just they're gonna maybe fire Harbaugh. He'll be our guy. No, they'll never fire Harbaugh. But yeah, I'll take the Bengals.
Chargers at Chiefs -4.5. Chargers coming off of a big Monday Night Football. Chiefs coming off a game where it feels like their season might be dead. They're, a one game below 500, 2 games back of the playoffs. The Chargers, as much as they scrap out wins, though, they're just not a good team right now. Like they're so banged up. Herbert's banged up. I just don't think. I think the Chiefs are going to come after them. They've got quote unquote nothing to lose. So I'm going to go Chiefs -4.5 in this one. The listeners agree, Danny.
Yeah. I'm gonna ride the Chiefs this week. They're gonna have to win eventually, right? And I feel like they could still just beat the Chargers, no matter, and especially Justin Herbert in that bad hand.
Yeah, they've lost to the Chargers once this year, split that, but the Chargers are just so injured. And that offensive line is so terrible. That's like, how we have 2 wins? Like, do you think that, like, what if the Chargers, like, didn't have, every offensive lineman injured for that game? Like, when we play these what-if games in the fourth quarter, part of me is like, man, we're not far away from having 1 win either. Grump, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs in this one. We've made enough of a deal about the Chiefs not winning the AFC West this year. Doesn't mean that they're not going to make the playoffs, and I think they're going to start winning ugly games. And I think this is an ugly win.
All right, the next one game I have on here is for conversation's sake. We got Colts at Seahawks -14. Phillip Rivers is back. And I got a couple things on this. The first thing I want to say is this is definitely like fun, right? Like, oh, this is cool. Like Phillip Rivers coming back. He's 44 years old. It's been 5 years. Like it's somewhat insane. And that's fun. But when we get to Sunday, it's still going to be insane. And his arm was kind of done his last year in the NFL, guys. Is anyone else like not like I feel like I'm the only person who's like thought about the idea that like this is gonna be a total disaster, right? Like they're not gonna be able to score points with Phillip Rivers at quarterback.
I've only envisioned this being a total disaster.
Yeah, I just feel like it's been a very fun story in the media, and I feel like there hasn't been any other side of this. It's like this is probably stupid by the Colts.
I
They aren't fighting for a playoff spot.
I can't say that I really have given it that much thought. Like outside of the initial like, whoa, that's what they're doing, huh? Okay. Like there's nobody else around.
Someone that's got like some legs that you can work a zone read game with.
Like there's not even like a practice squad guy that's not with like Adrian Martinez from the Jets or something. Like not saying he's good or whatever, but like I don't know. This almost
He's gonna take one NFL hit on Sunday and might literally explode.
It's just
14
like, but his
orphans.
arm is done. Like I saw a clip of him from practice. It didn't look good. Now again, there's one clip. Also, what the hell is wrong with the Indianapolis media? I'm gonna play this clip.
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
no one. Again, another thing where it's like, why is nobody pointing this part out? So this is him, doing his first interview, and they ask him how much he weighs, and
I might gotta mute this. This is how loud it gets.
Right this second, yeah. I'm not sure. How about that? That's all I'm saying. I can actually put a little better on the point Right. And not what it was when I walked through. Let me tell you that. But then I follow that. I never ran away from anybody anymore.
They're like, how much do you weigh right now? He's like, to be honest, I don't know. It's like the SpongeBob laughing.
Bro, I think they are so loud the mic didn't fully pick it
Yeah,
up.
I was gonna
That's
say,
how loud
it-
it was.
It's so loud that Zoom actually crushed the audio, so it sounded like nothing was happening.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, what is wrong with these Indiana reporters? In fact, I need to send that to my friend Zach, who's a Colts fan.
I mean, it's great. At least now companies have a new laugh track they could use.
It sounded like a laugh track, and like
It
it
did.
really did. It was like I've listened to it 40 times today. Like I'm not joking. I've just listened to it 40 times of them. Like
Also, do we know what he's getting paid, by the way?
I would assume
That minimum, probably?
much. Yeah,
That minimum, I guess, yeah.
not even that. Man, it's a practice squad thing.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
true.
So with that being said, Seahawks minus 14. Grump.
That's just a huge number. That's what's
Dude,
throwing me. I
Phillip
know.
Rivers
Look,
is not going to score any points, and the Seahawks are humming right now.
I'm just wondering if the game feel like I know I'm overthinking this right now, but I'm wondering if the game is just like, well, we have this in control and we can just press this button and win at any moment. And like I'm like waiting for that last second field goal that just makes it like a 13-point win or something like that. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I guess I'm going Seahawks. It's just a crazy number.
The listeners are going Colts, so I mean, maybe they're onto something. Danny, who do you got?
I have another question. Does this help Eli get into the Hall of Fame this year? Because Phillips off the ballot now.
Eli's not getting in this year. I hate to say that. He's not getting in. Drew Brees is getting in this year.
I do forget Drew.
I do think it helps. I do think it helps a little bit, because it's, because the less QB team, it's just the Hall of Fame I've read up on it a little bit. He's just not getting in this year. It's probably going to be about it's going to be like 3-4 years until we get Eli in the Hall of Fame. It's just, I think it really felt like first ballot, or you're going to be waiting a while for Eli, and it wasn't first ballot. So I think we're going to be waiting a little bit for Eli.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it is fair. I think it's stupid. Just put him in if you're going to put him in. But
Yeah. I'm chasing a 500 record right now. As much as I do want to go Colts just for the fun of it, like I truly believe this is going to be like an embarrassing performance on Sunday. So I'm gonna rock the Hawks.
yeah, I mean,
This just feels like one of those Vegas lines where like they cash out.
I'm surprised it's not bigger.
Yeah.
This is one of the games of the week. Packers at Broncos plus 2.5. These are the number 1 seeds in both the NFC and the AFC. Packers are good, but they're not like as good as a number 1 seed. And that Broncos defense, I think, is going to cause a lot of havoc on Jordan Love. They're at home. I'm going to go Broncos plus 2.5. Listeners are going Packers. Danny, who you got?
I'm rocking the Pack. I'm gonna rock the Broncos this week. I just Packers being favorites, I'm not really vibing with. I still think the Broncos at home have that advantage with the altitude and all that fun jazz. So I'm gonna rock the Broncos.
Grump?
I'm gonna go Packers. I mean, this is 2 1 seeds that I don't really like as 1 seeds, and 2 quarterbacks I think are a little bit overrated. So Bo Nix in Denver is way overrated. But yeah.
Let me ask you guys right now, real quick. What would be your quick Super Bowl prediction? Who's the 2 teams in the Super Bowl? Danny.
Out of the NFC, I gotta pull up the bracket real quick. Oh, and the NFC, I'm still rocking. It's easy, but not easy. But I'm gonna say the Rams. They're just. I know they lost to Carolina, but they're still a humming machine. And out of the AFC right now, if everything was to stand, man, I know it's probably unpopular, but I mean this is the Bills' chance. I still think when they get into the playoffs, they have the most experience right now. I'm gonna rock the Bills.
I've got Rams too. You know who I think it is? I think the Bills are too bad. I think they're too bad to win 3 playoff games. I think the Patriots get back there. I want to say the Texans because that defense is so good, and that's a Super Bowl defense. But I just have no trust in their offensive line. But I go between those 2 teams. I don't believe in Denver. Denver's capable, but I don't believe in Denver. Nobody from the AFC, I guess the Texans from the AFC South. The AFC East, it's the Patriots, and then the North, nobody from the North. So this is going to be a cool Super Bowl, I think, this year. Like somebody's going to get there first, or Stafford gets, I think it's going to be a fun Super Bowl. Speaking of that, Lions at Rams -5.5. I'm out on the Lions, by the way. I'm going Rams -5.5. I'm just not in love with the Lions this year as much as I've been in love with them the last 2 years. Grump.
I am going to agree with you. I actually think that the NFC Championship game is going to be Bucks Rams, but for this particular game, I think the Lions win this one.
Oh, okay. Let me cross out Lions -5.5. Danny, who do you got?
I got the Rams. I apologize for not looking. I'm currently updating a story we talked about earlier. But I
On
wrote
the Rams.
Yeah, he is currently in jail.
Heard it here second.
You'll hear it on Thursday.
Yeah, you've heard it a million times by now.
48 hours out.
Listeners are going Lions.
Also, wait, what do you think the reception is going to be for golf? I did ask you this. What do you think the reception is going to be for golf in LA? It's their first game back in LA since the trade, if I remember. I could be completely wrong about that, but I don't remember them playing in LA.
LA doesn't
Played
play
here.
fans.
They played, the Rams don't have fans. So
Well, yes, I know that.
they played each other in year one. I can't remember if that was in Detroit.
What year was he traded? 2020? Or
2021.
2021 Rams Lions.
I think it was. I don't know. I remember the Lions went all out, bunch of trick plays.
Oh, it was. Yeah, they were in LA. I do.
Yeah.
I thought it was the first time, but the Lions were horrible that year. It was 28-19. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that was, the Lions were terrible that year. That was like their best game of the year almost. They went all out in that one. Monday Night Football, we got Dolphins at Steelers -3. The Dolphins are coming off of 4 straight wins. The listeners are going Steelers -3. Danny, who do you got?
Yeah, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are humming. The Dolphins are humming right now. So I'm gonna rock the Dolphins. I'm in on the Dolphins.
Grump.
I do not understand the Steelers this year. I am wrong every time. Every time. So I have no conviction behind this pick whatsoever. I'm saying the Dolphins because the Steelers won last week.
So I have the exact same take, Grump. I was like, I think I almost want to go back and listen and be like, how many times have I gotten the Steelers wrong? And I think it's every single week, because they're a team that's going to win 50% of their games and lose 50%, and you're trying to chase which one. It's just hard to bet on them. And so what I did is I wrote down Dolphins +3, and then I crossed it out and said, don't trust your instincts with the Steelers. And so I'm going to go Steelers -3. It's every week. I whenever we pick the Steelers, for them or against them, I'm like, I know this is wrong. I just know that this is
They don't
wrong.
just they don't just lose. They look bad. Like they look like shit. They make you feel like an idiot for ever thinking that they were gonna win.
Yeah,
It's like the worst shit ever.
That's what it is, Grump. It's like they don't lose games. They make you think that this is bullshit, that this is terrible. This is, like, again, like you said, a bottom 5 team in the NFL. How the hell did they win any games this year? And then they go and just handle the Ravens, and Aaron Rodgers is, just dealing.
Just discount double checking and shit. And it's just like, then the next week it's like, I don't know, Alabama could probably beat the Steelers.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just not that they just lose games. It's they look so they look so bad when they lose. They didn't complete a deep pass for a month. All right. All right. Score predictions. Washington Commanders at New York Giants, 1:00. We'll see you there. Danny, what do you got?
Slopfest inbound. I do think the Giants could win. I think they'll probably, as we all have all discussed, there are going to be some great culture wins these next few games. So enjoy the first overall pick while you got it, because we won't have it for much longer. Giants win. I'm throwing a random score out there because I just don't. This team, who cares? 15 the Giants will score and the Commanders will score 12. How will that happen? I have no freaking idea. But that's the scores.
I got to go watch a win and then it'd be 15-12. That's terrible. Grump, what do you got?
We are used to, in these lost seasons, having a a thrilling game against Washington in December or January. And usually the Giants win those games. At least it feels like usually. At this point, though, if I'm really looking at this, Dan Quinn's defenses just do something to Brian Dable's offenses. And with Mike Kafka at the helm, Jackson Dart looked like inept last week against New England. I don't know how they're supposed to score enough points to win this, and we might give up like 250 yards on the ground in this game. And since we apparently can't kick field goals without kicking the turf, it's hard to even imagine like getting enough to like kick field goals for a win. I can't pick a Giants win for this. I'm going Commanders 24, Giants 17.
Unfortunately, the Giants ruined something that was very fun last year. As I attended the New York Giants a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they lost. And it was my first time walking out of MetLife and not having traffic getting out because I had been there for only wins. I'd been there for only wins. But I like to see wins when I'm there. I don't care what happens, whatever. I like that tradition. The Giants ruined it. We will be at Candlewick after the game. So if you guys want to come have dinner with us, we will be recording the show live from the parking lot after the game. I think it's in parking lot D, lot D or whatever. Look for the bus. We're recording that, and then we'll be going to Candlewick Diner afterwards. Come join us. Have a good time. Go show them support, and we'll talk. Shannon Rose on Monday for Breaking Big Blue. We'll be promoting all this stuff over the weekend. I'll be there, and I go to win. And that killer instinct shows up when I'm in the stadium. So Giants 77, Commanders 0. Don't make me boo, because I will boo my heart out. So win the damn game. We'll see you guys when we see you. Until then, let's go Big Blue.